The Basilica of San Petronio is the main church of Bologna, Emilia Romagna, northern Italy. It dominates Piazza Maggiore. It is the 15th largest church in the world, 132 meters long and 66 meters wide, while the vault reaches 45 meters inside and 51 meters in the facade. With its volume of 258,000 cubic meters, it is the largest church built in bricks of the world. The basilica is dedicated to the patron saint of the city, St. Petronio, who was the Bishop of Bologna in the 5th century. The construction was a communal project of Bologna, not of the bishops. The property was a symbol of communal power that was not transferred from the city to the diocese until 1929. The basilica was finally consecrated in 1954. It has been the seat of the relics of Bologna's patron saint only since 2000. Until then they were preserved in the Santo Stefano Church of Bologna. Architecture. Following a council decree of 1388, the first stone of construction was laid June 7, 1390, when the town council entrusted Antonio di Vincenzo with raising a Gothic cathedral. In order to make room for this monumental construction, the adjacent Curia of Sancti Ambrosii was demolished, together with the majority of one of the city's works, including at least 8 churches and towers. Works lasted for several centuries. After the completion of the first version of the facade in 1393, the first pair of side chapels were begun. The series were completed only in 1479. However, in 1514 Arduino degli Raguzzi proposed a revised plan in the form of a Latin cross with the intent to outdo even St. Peter's Basilica of Rome, the greatest church of the Western Christian world even in its ancient version. According to tradition, Pope Pius IV halted such a majestic project. The facing of the main facade remains unfinished. Many architects were commissioned to propose solutions for it, but a definitive one was never found. Jacopo della Quercia of Siena enriched the main doorway with sculptures and 2 new small flanking doorways, with subjects taken from the Old Testament, forming a traditional prelude to the new dispensation that is represented by the basilica itself. The heroic newt of Adam and other figures in the rectangular bas-relief panels were an inspiration to artists of the Renaissance. The 65-meter-tall campanile was built at the end of the 1400s. Interior. The interior houses a Madonna with Saints by Lorenzo Costa the Younger and a Pietà by Amico Aspettini. Also, the colors of the walls and the stained glass windows are noteworthy. The choir was made in the 15th century by Agostino da Marchi, while the ciborium is a work by Vignola. Jacopo Barozzi da Vignola was chief architect of the Fabrica. His is the design of the ciborium over the altar. The vaulting and decoration of the central nave is by Girolamo Rainaldi, who completed them in 1646 to 1658. The 22 chapels of the following: I. Chapel of St. Abbondio, formerly of the Diocese di Balia, restored in neo-Gothic style in 1865. In this chapel, in the year 1530, Emperor Charles V was crowned by Pope Clement VII. 2. Chapel of St. Petronio, once of the Cospi and Aldrovandi families, designed by Alfonso Torreggiani, designed to contain the relic of the head of San Petronio. 3. Chapel of St. Ivo, formerly of the family of San Brigida dei Foscherari. It has statues of Angelo Pio and the paintings of the Madonna of St. Luke and Saints Emidio and Ivo by Gaetano Gandolfi, an apparition of the Virgin de St. Francesca Romana by Alessandro Tiarini. On the pillar, 2 clocks, one of the first made in Italy with the correction of the pendulum. IV. Chapel of the Maggi, once of Bolognini family. Its marble Gothic balustrade designed by Antonio di Vincenzo. The triptych wooden altar with 27 figures carved and painted by Jacopo di Paolo. The walls were painted by Giovanni di Pietro Filippi. Giovanni da Modena with a cycle depicting the episodes in the life of San Petronio. The back wall, right wall, stories of the three kings. The left wall, at the top, the Last Judgment with the coronation of the Virgin in oval, and the controversial Heaven and Hell, Dante's depiction of the places, with a gigantic figure of Lucifer. V. Chapel of Saint Sebastian, once of Vaselli family. Vi. Chapel of St. Vincent Ferrer, formerly of the Grifoni and Cospi Ranuzzi families. Bronze monument of Cardinal Giacomo Lercaro made by Giacomo Manzu. 7. Chapel of St. James, formerly of the Rossi and Basiocchi families. The Madonna enthroned on the altar was painted by Lorenzo Costa. To the same author attributed the designs of the stained glass funeral monument containing the remains of Prince Felix Basiocchi and his wife Eliza Bonaparte. 8. Chapel of St. Rocco, formerly of the Ranuzzi family. It contains a San Rocco by Parmigianino. Ix. Chapel of St. Michael, formerly of the Barbazzi and Manzoni families. It houses a painting of Archangel Michael defeating the fallen angels by Donato Creti. X. Chapel of St. Rosalie, formerly of the 16 of the Senate, now the Town Hall. Canvas of Glory of Santa Barbara by Tiarini. She. Chapel of St. Bernardino stands before the 15th century organ case by Lorenzo da Prato. The chapel was painted in 1531 by Aspettini with 4 stories of St. Petronius's main chapel. The altar contains a 15th century wooden crucifix. At the back, a fresco of the Madonna with St. Petronio by Marcantonio Franceschini and Luigi Quaini. Cartoons by Signani. The ciborium of the main altar was built in 1547 by Vignola. The 15th century wooden choir was completed by Agostino da Marchi. 12. Chapel of the Relics, formerly of Zambecri family. 13. Chapel of St. Peter Martyr, formerly the Society of Beccari, with marble railing by Francesco di Simone. 14. Chapel of St. Anthony of Padua, formerly of Saraceni and Cospi families. The statue of St. Anthony of Padua attributed to Jacopo Sansovino. 15. Chapel of the Blessed Sacrament, formerly of the Malvezzi Campeggi, rebuilt in the 19th. 16. Chapel of the Immaculate, formerly of Fantuzzi family. Art Nouveau decorations by Achille Casanova. 17. Chapel of St. Jerome, formerly of the Castelli, the St. Jerome altar attributed to Lorenzo Costa. 18. Chapel of St. Lorenzo, formerly of the Garganelli, Ratta and Pilotti families. The Pieta was painted by Aspettini. 19. Chapel of the Cross, formerly of the Noti, with devotional frescoes depicting saints by Francesco Lola, Giovanni Pietro Filippi and Pietro Lianori. The window was made by Blessed Fra Giacomo di Elm, designed by Michele di Matteo da Bologna. XX. Chapel of St. Ambrose, formerly of the Marsili, with a fresco in the style of Vivarini. 21. Chapel of St. Bridget, formerly of the Pepperli, polyptych by Tommaso Garelli. 22. Chapel of Our Lady of Peace, Madonna in Istrian stone by Giovanni Ferrabici. Music. Bologna was a principal center of Baroque music in Italy. The musical organization had been officially instituted by Pope Eugenius IV in 1436. The first regularly paid instrumentalists were added in the late 16th century, and in the 17th century San Petronio was renowned for its sacred instrumental and choral music, with its 2 great organs, completed in 1476 and 1596, both still in remarkably original condition. The library remains a rich archival repository. 3 successive maestri di capella marked the great age of music at San Petronio. Maurizio Casati, Giovanni Paolo Colonna and Giacomo Antonio Perti. The current maestro, since 1996, is the harpsichordist Sergio Vartolo, who has revitalized the Cappella with a series of recordings for Naxos Tactus, Brilliant Classics and Bon Giovanni. Cassini's Meridian Line. The church hosts also a marking in the form of a meridian line inlaid in the paving of the left aisle in 1655. It was calculated and designed by the famous astronomer Giovanni Domenico Cassini, who was teaching astronomy at the university. A meridian line does not indicate the time, but instead the day of the year, and also meridian lines were used to accurately determine the length of the solar year. At 66.8 meters, it is one of the largest astronomical instruments in the world, allowing measurements that were for the time uniquely precise. Cassini and Domenico Guglielmini published an illustrated account of how the meridian was accomplished in 1695. Notable events. Middle Ages. Pope Clement VII chose it for the coronation of Charles V in 1530. Eliza Bonaparte, Napoleon Bonaparte's sister, is buried here. Modern terrorist attacks in 2002. 5 men who it was believed were connected to Al-Qaeda and were planning to blow up the building were arrested. Again in 2006, plans by Muslim terrorists to destroy the Basilica were thwarted by Italian police. The terrorists claimed that a 15th century fresco inside was insulting to Islam. The fresco, painted by Giovanni da Modena, depicts Muhammad in hell being devoured by demons.